Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the MLG studio and our coverage of Heart of the Swarm exhibitions. Today is Monday, which means it's a King of the Hill day. And we got TT1 currently destroying everyone. No one can beat him. If you feel like you can, join channel MLG, or if you want to tweet at your favorite pros and say, hey, TT1's winning 6 in a row, can you go try and challenge him? But I feel like a lot of people are scared of this guy.
They are. And you know, this is similar to the way TT1 was early on in StarCraft 2 as well. I mean, this guy, you know, it's interesting. There's two theories about who does well when a game comes out. There's the ones who's like, oh, the guys like Cats and Cukes, the guys come up with crazy builds are going to be really good because they're going to come up with some cool builds off the bat. But then there's other people who say, you know what, everyone's going to come up with a build because you have to have a build to play the game, right?
Right.
Like, by definition. So, that advantage is almost maybe less or so because everyone's going to be playing around with builds. And then people like TT1 who just wins off of just like macroing a bunch of units and then throwing him at his opponent until they leave the game. That's that's what he does. He does 2 and 3 base timing attacks pretty much every game, but he does them very well. So it's like he's doing really well because he's just focusing on his base core gameplay of getting units out, and he's doing it better than everyone else is right now.
Yeah. Of course, it'll be interesting to see, you know, how much these play styles evolve, because of course it's obviously it's a really good thing, you know, being able to keep your money low, just pumping out those units, but then you have to start thinking, all right, which of these new units are actually worth their money, kind of a thing, especially against what my opponent is doing. And if you scout something, it's theoretically much harder to be able to identify, you know, what reaction you should do. Like, you scout a new unit coming out, like Oracles, like, what's the appropriate response to that? So that's when a lot of interesting decision-making is going to occur, I foresee, at least in Heart of the Storm at this stage in the game. But yeah, TT1, a great macro player, really showing his strength so far in this King of the Hill series. Of course, 6 games, 6 wins in a row here. Of course, every 5 wins in a row, you get $50, not too bad. And TT1 refusing to lose. He is your red Protoss player in the top left-hand location. And I forgot to tell TriniXY to go blue, so he's going to be pink. He's the pink Protoss player in the middle right-hand location. Now, TriniXY might not have heard of him, or some of you watching might not have heard of him, but he's a fairly solid GM-level Protoss. So I think he can theoretically take a game here. We saw him a little bit last week, but we'll see. TT1 taking names, but again, this is PvP in Heart of the Swarm. Who knows what we'll see?
This is actually this is a map that's a little bit interesting because it does have the ramp that's 2 force fields wide.
Yep.
It does have the in-base expansion. I believe this is almost a map you could do something weird like a Nexus first. And, I mean, yeah, you have to watch for, like, Blink Stalker Mothership Core in, but if you got your own Mothership Core and got a whole bunch of your own Stalkers, maybe you could find a way to defend that. I don't know. Nexus first price still wouldn't work because they could just forget you lose.
Yeah.
But, there could be a lot of like 1-gate expansion builds that are really strong here if you can find a way to actually hold that ramp. But that's the tricky part. I almost feel like if you do an expansion, you've got to make cannons.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have Photon Overcharge potentially, but I'm not sure how far that actually goes. I don't know if it
They
reaches.
could probably like pick off your outer buildings maybe, or they could even wait you out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe build a macro Nexus right here.
Yes.
And then have 2 Photon Charges available.
There you go. You said to rush out the Mothership Core really fast, and then get the Nexus out. Yeah.
Double Nexus. Dude, I gotta stop broadcasting my ideas because
they're all gonna be stolen, man.
I know. All right, I'm not doing that anymore.
And yeah, they're gonna be taken from you.
All right, TriniXY go double gas here. Zealot Stalker, no Mothership Core just yet.
And you know, he's actually saying one thing that I feel the same way on this map about is that he said it should be cross only. And I kind of agree because the non-cross walking distances are so short.
Yeah.
And combined with a fat ramp like that, it's things like, I mean, even versus a Terran, a Protoss could forget a Terran very easily, and with the wide ramp, you can fit off a lot of units up there. Or even something just like a Terran going 2 barracks pressure against a Zerg. Like, the Zerg has no place to put spine crawlers against 2 racks pressure until they get a creep tumor out that a Terran can't walk around.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that I think will probably be a little bit crazy on these closer spawns. But luckily for us, we have the cross map situation that I think plays out a little bit nicer on this map.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like cannon rushing could be really good on this map too. I mean, if you just put it like a cannon on the low ground down here.
Oh,
and then you can slowly make your way, and you just put one cannon here. Like, you can't lose the game, right? Like the middle line's right there.
Well, how many minerals can you shoot from back there though?
Well, okay, not back there, but like like right here.
Yeah.
If you start canning from this area.
So you can work your way in there, and you're not too far from a nexus.
Yeah.
I mean, when you cannon rush in Predator Smear, it's all of a race of how long does it take you to get a cannon that can really kill them.
Yeah.
Versus how long can they get a stalker out? Because once they get like a couple stalkers out, or even one stalker out, one you can kind of build two cannons at the same time and overpower. But once they get two stalkers out, then
no, yeah, I would make sure the cannons hit. Like I would have a cannon building.
The first cannon would be on the low ground, and when that's almost done, you start the first one on the high ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I gotta stop saying my ideas though. Anyway, TT1 doing exactly. He did this against Protoss last week.
It might have been the same one, was it?
No.
It was A-bomb.
Or Elvis.
Oh no, Elvis is third.
Oh, we see a time warp going down here from TT1, trying to prevent his opponent from retreating too much.
Yeah, he might have been just trying to get some extra shots off on that Zealot.
If you walk into your own time warp, does it slow you?
It does not. It does not. I was actually just looking for that right now.
Oh.
You know, TriniXY, I don't think he should care about the time warp, because if he can just use force fields to defend.
And he can time warp if he wants.
Yeah, I don't really know.
He can time warp and then force field.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure why I was so afraid to be in it, because time warp doesn't affect your attack rate. So I think it's one of those things.
It's
actually,
just a scary blue
we actually saw the same
yeah.
thing with Dragon. Remember last game when Dragon attacked TT1's fourth, and TT1 did the 2 time warps on his army? Dragon lost an immense amount of DPS. He might actually won the game with the attack, except he grabbed all his guys in time warps and told them to run out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually that's almost the worst thing to do. Like normally, if let's say you would want to run away normally, you'd less want to run away when you're in time warp because running away is less effective. So you might as well stand and fight. Like it's you want to run less often, the more likely you're in time warp. But the fact that it's just the animation is scaring people, and they're like and they lose a ton of.
I don't want to
DPS.
go into that thing, man.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
But if you just stand and fight, your units will be just as effective as if they didn't put time warp on you.
And there we see scouting hallucinated Phoenix there from TriniXY. I don't think TT1 has done that just yet, but his map vision is pretty superb. His units pretty much all across the map, just checking for, proxies, other expansions. But TriniXY here, he's going double Stargate, and TT1's only going 1 Stargate, and he's making Void Rays. So TriniXY is going to start massing Phoenix production, and I could see a game where if TT1 does not scout the mass Phoenix production, TT1 should straight up lose with 30 Phoenix walking.
He very easily could. Phoenix vs. Void Ray is a really interesting battle, actually. In Wings of Liberty, the Phoenix have the tiniest advantage in its threat on engagement, but then, of course, they're going to kill probes and be very effective outside the battle, too. So overall, Phoenixes are much better in Wings of Liberty.
Yeah.
In Heartless Swarm,
they have 1 additional range.
They have 1 additional range, but the Void Rays have a slightly faster attack rate. They change it from 0.6 to 0.5. So they attack faster. So it's kind of an interesting, who actually got the upper hand there. But the other cool thing, going back again to the Phoenix side, is with their additional range, if you then get the range upgrade, all of a sudden they have 7 range, they outrange Void Rays, they're faster than Void Rays,
oh.
You can kind of kite around a Void Rays and get a bunch of, I don't know, it's got to be such a crazy engagement. I think the bottom line is, though, that they're close enough in an actual engagement that Phoenixes end up being way better because they can kill probes, right? And because you can choose whether or not to engage. So you're not going to engage unless you know you can win.
Now, TriniXY coming in here. TT1's adding a 2nd Stargate. So we're going to see Stargate versus Stargate in this game. Very interesting PvP we have in our hands. I'm just going to scout, going to see what he can pick off here. Now, something interesting I saw, I don't know if they changed that part of the Swarm as far as the animation, but when he picked up the Stalker was like moving his legs everywhere. Did that happen in Wings of Liberty?
I actually do not know. Photon Overcharge. Getting some damage done. Why not use it,
I mean, if
right?
you're going to lose the Mothership Core anyway, just...
Yeah, or even if you're not, you get 200 energy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Mothership Core energy is honestly not worth that much. Like, in a game like this, how often are you going to use its abilities?
Not that often.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you can halfway kill a Phoenix for 100 energy, yeah, definitely. Easy, right? Easy choice, I would say. TT1's neglecting the upgrades. And that's going to play a huge role.
He's just sticking to Void Rays, man. He's not even...
He is, but if we look at something, so look at the Phoenix, each shot does 5 damage, right? That means every attack upgrade increases its damage by 20%. And vice versa, every armor upgrade would decrease it by actually, or actually attack, yeah, by basically even more. So, neglecting these upgrades, or in fact now he's, yeah, like you mentioned, just started, is going to put him significantly behind.
And TriniXY is about to hit with just right when the upgrade hits. We have charged up Void Rays, or we have Void Rays, I should say, targeting down these rocks. TriniXY coming forward here, targeting down one, targeting down another, and he has not lost a Phoenix yet. Took down 2 Void Rays. Okay, I think he lost 1, but not a bad trade at all there for TriniXY.
Yeah, not at all a bad trade.
Oh, he hasn't even lost a unit yet.
Wow, not even a single Phoenix. Oh, I was about to say their one dies, goes into the red. I'm curious about TT1's decision to go Void Rays. I know he was saying earlier that he thinks they're really strong on Heart of the Swarm, but in PvP, the only buff they got really is that slight attack speed advantage, which isn't bad, but their ability doesn't help them against Phoenixes. It's only extra damage versus armored. So and the Phoenix's extra range and the fact that they just kind of kill everything, I would pick a unit that kills everything.
Now, the rocks are armor that he was hitting, so theoretically if he was hitting the rocks and switched really quickly to the Phoenixes, would that, whatever that charge is, would that stay?
I mean, it's not a charge. It's just
like an ability. It's E.
Yeah. So yeah. But it doesn't matter what he targets. He can target anything. You know, he'll get the ability. But the ability only helps against armored units.
Oh, got it.
So it's, you know, it's great when you're sniping Broodlords. You know, things like that. In fact, it's actually pretty big. It's +6 damage, but it's +6 damage every 0.5 seconds. So their actual ability is insanely powerful, which is probably what TT1's thinking about when he likes to go Phoenixes, because I think that ability does make him a very, very scary force to be reckoned with, but it's just not helpful in PvP air wars.
All right, we see thirds being added on by both these guys. TriniXY is getting down just a bit before his opponents now. TT1's taking the one a little bit in front of his expansion rather than the one that's further behind. But here come the Phoenixes targeting down these probes at the mineral line of TT1, taking down quite a few. There goes the Photon overcharge onto the Nexus. TriniXY still has not lost a unit here.
He just he just doesn't want to.
No, yeah, fair enough.
He's like, you know what? I want to keep all my guys alive. And this is just the strength of Phoenix. So I'm just a huge Phoenix fan of PvP. I love them. So I'm gonna be chanting your name all the time.
And he's transitioning a little bit though. He stopped making those air units, and he's going into High Templars with Storm. Now, he's obviously scouted this Void Ray play from TT1. I think Storm is a great answer to Void Rays and Charge Loss.
It is, except he's got to get. I mean, he's got to get something to protect a Templar. Like, Storm is great against Void Rays if it's just Templar versus Void Rays. But if you look at the armies, TT1 has like a bajillion Zealots, and TriniXY has very few. And so if you have only Templar and a few Stalkers, you can't really use effective Storms. It's much harder because your Templars are just going to get killed by the Zealots, and then their Zealots won't even send the Storms because they're just going to run through and kill everything else. You kind of need to form...
Time Warp.
Time Warp can help a bit. Time Warp can help a bit.
Yeah, I agree.
But you also need like a battle line that won't instantly die. It's like football, right? The High Templars are QB. You got to give him a couple seconds to do what he's got to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need a few more Zealots or always fight with cannons, right? Templar work very, very well with cannons. You need something to protect.
Completely walling off. This is a very strong strategy against, you know, charge.archon type play. Charge loss in general, of course, if you just wall off and they only have one little gap to go through, then they're not going to be effective. So, SimCity is very important to consider. TriniXY adding so many cannons around this fourth base of his. Continue to add on Zealots and High Templar. Hasn't done much with Phoenixes at this point in time, as far as harassment is concerned, keeping them with his army. And TT1 is actually extending across the map here. He's at 188 at a 200 supply. And I think we're moments away from seeing TriniXY lose his first unit of the game.
You know, it could be, and TriniXY had a huge advantage, but I think the last couple of minutes, you know, we talk about TT1's macro, he's right back in it, if not even ahead. I mean, look at his army composition. TriniXY, I feel maybe he should have gone for... He had air control, so if you have air control, I think you should go for Carriers or Colossi. Colossi would have been great here, too.
All right, TT1 going to be engaging into the 4th base of TriniXY. TriniXY trying to get into position here, posturing around with his Archons, Charge Lots, and High Templars coming forward with High Templars. There's the Time Warp onto the Protoss army. There are the Storms as well, Force Fields, trying to keep the Zealots and Stalkers away. Nothing massive to crush these Force Fields, so not terrible Storms at all here from TriniXY, throwing down more and more Storms, even hitting his own Phoenixes, but the Phoenixes don't care, taking down the Void Rays from TT1, and TriniXY is going to come out on top in this battle, at least it looks like.
Yeah,
with that being said, more and more Stalkers reinforcing here from TT1.
Oh, but look at this massive Zealot warping. The Phoenix is using their lift, and this might spell the doom for TT1 as TriniXY has a great economy, a great army advantage. I think he just push across the map and end it right here.
He's up 141 to 121 supply, on the verge of breaking TT1's win streak in this MLG Heart of the Swarm King of the Hill. TT1, of course, had 6 wins in a row. TriniXY going to try to end that and start a streak of his own. TT1 desperately going to try to hold this 3rd base. Keep in mind, TriniXY is on 4 bases. TT1 is on 3 bases. He's scrambling to get a decent unit composition on the field, considering he lost most of his army in that last engagement, adding on High Templars, turning them straight into Archons. Is this the right answer? And will this have any effect? With that being said, TriniXY making about 8 Archons of his own and plenty of charge lots. I think TriniXY is at a supreme advantage here.
He is, but you gotta love the hidden X by TT1 at the bottom of the map. That's a great way to try to get back in the game. And if TriniXY doesn't attack soon, the armies will equalize again. I mean, right now he's got a significant army advantage from just absolutely demolishing TT1's army. Ooh, brave at TT1, dude. The Phoenixes definitely could have lifted a few of those if TriniXY was a little bit more on top of things. TT1 escaping, though, for now. But yeah, if TriniXY's max, if he sits around, TT1 will catch up. Right now, 50 supply behind, but every minute that goes by, that'll
back, man, because he is maxed and he's going for it. He has High Templars here as well.
Put on the Nexus Overcharge. Yeah, there we go.
There's the Nexus Overcharge. We'll have to see if that can save TT1's life. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. There goes the Storms onto the Zealots of TT1, trying to kite back and draw TriniXY Zealots into the Storm, but that's not going to be enough, I don't think. TriniXY still up 139 to 117 in supply. The Photon Overcharge not doing a terrible job here. TT1 using the Sim City to his advantage, but TriniXY still has so many Archons here. TT1 might just have to rely exclusively on some Blink Stalker Micro to stay alive. Possible, maybe, but it's going to be very difficult.
Well, I mean, the huge thing here was that Nexus. TT1 just, I think he held this, being 50 supply down. Oh, but wait, no. A massive horde of Zealots, and they're angry this time.
Yeah.
Going for a Nexus now, and that Nexus, the fact that it was tanking, helped out TT1 so much in that battle. But now that might be what cost its life.
Yeah, the charge lot's going to target that down pretty quickly here. Now, TT1 still has a decent army, going to be able to clean up the rest of these Zealots, but TT1's hidden expo was discovered, immediately leading TT1 to throw down the GG. So there is victory from TriniXY, but huge shout out to TT1, winning 6 games in a row. Very impressive indeed. He has the longest streak right now in MLG King of the Hill Heart of the Storm history. That's pretty impressive.
It is. TT1 is a very, very, very strong player, and I mentioned it before, he was really strong in early on Wings of Liberty, and people might underestimate him because he wasn't very active over the last maybe even year or so. But he's getting back active now, and that's got to strike fear into the hearts of many of the current pro gamers, because this guy is coming out to maybe even take some trophies in early on Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, 6-0. Right now, King of the Hill, but of course now 6-1, having been knocked off there by TriniXY. Of course, you can follow TT1 on Twitter at @root_TT1. He is on Root Gaming, very strong representative of that team, showing a lot of great play in Heart of the Storm with that 6-game winning streak. But now TriniXY is your king. If you are a Grandmaster player or pro player, go ahead and join channel MLG. Let me know you want to play, and I'll try to get you involved. TriniXY is your current king. His attempt to extend his streak to 2 is coming up next. Don't go